People often ask me, how can I change my life? And I tell them, you don't need a lifetime. Sometimes you only need 21 days. 21 days is not magic, it's discipline. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The problem is, most people wait for the right time to start, but the truth is the right time is now. If you are willing to commit, to focus, and to show up every single day for the next 21 days, you will see changes not only in what you achieve, but in who you become. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can transform your life in the next 21 days, step by step, with a plan that anyone can follow. But remember, the plan will only work if you do. When I was young, I had many dreams. Some of them were big, some of them were small, and some of them were completely unrealistic. But the problem wasn't the size of the dream. The problem was that I didn't know which dream I wanted to focus on. I was chasing 10 rabbits at the same time, and of course, I caught none. This is where most people fail before they even begin. They start their journey without a clear vision. They want to be successful, but they can't explain what successful means for them. Success is different for everyone. For some, it's financial freedom. For others, it's better health, stronger relationships, or mastering a skill. If you don't know exactly what you're chasing, you will waste your 21 days running in circles. A clear vision is like a map. Imagine you get into a taxi and the driver asks, "Where do you want to go?" And you say, "I don't know, just drive." No matter how good the driver is, you will end up somewhere you don't want to be. Your 21 days are your taxi ride. The destination must be clear from the very beginning. The first step is to ask yourself the right questions. What exactly do I want to achieve in the next 21 days? Is it to lose 5 kilos? Read 3 books. Launch a side business. Wake up at 5 a.m. every day. You need to put it into one clear sentence. Not a paragraph, not a story, just one crystal clear sentence that even a stranger would understand. Once you have that vision, you need to make it visible. Write it down. Put it on your desk, on your mirror, on your phone wallpaper. You should see it so often that you can't escape it. The human mind is forgetful, and when life gets busy, you will find reasons to push your goal aside. A visible vision acts as a constant reminder that this is the target you must hit. Another important part of clarity is knowing your why. If your goal is to run 5 kilometers every day, the why cannot just be because it's healthy. That's too vague. You need a personal, emotional reason, something that makes you feel it in your heart. Maybe it's because you want to prove to yourself you can be disciplined. Maybe it's because you want to set an example for your children. Maybe it's because you want the energy to build your dream business. When the reason is powerful, the vision becomes unshakable. Clarity of vision also means removing distractions disguised as opportunities. During your 21 days, you might find other tempting things to do. A friend calls you to start another challenge, you see a video about a different success habit, or you get inspired to change your goal midway. This is dangerous. If you keep switching targets, you will never build the momentum needed to finish what you started. You must protect your vision from outside noise. Sometimes people confuse ambition with clarity. They say, in 21 days, I will write a book, get 6-pack abs, learn a new language, and double my income. That's not clarity. That's chaos. The brain works best when it has one primary goal to focus on. You can have secondary goals, but there must be one main mission that everything else supports. If you try to do everything at once, you'll dilute your energy and end up with half-finished results. When you set a clear vision, it's not just about the end result. It's also about the path. You must visualize not only what success looks like, but what actions you'll take every day to get there. If your goal is to save 500 in 21 days, picture yourself saying no to unnecessary expenses, cooking at home instead of eating out, and tracking your spending daily. The clearer the path, the fewer excuses you can make. And remember, clarity of vision doesn't mean perfection of vision. You don't need to know every detail. You just need enough clarity so that every action you take in the next 21 days has a clear direction and purpose. The rest you will discover along the way through action and adjustment. When people hear 21 days, many immediately think they need to do something dramatic every single day. They imagine waking up at 4 a.m., running 10 kilometers, reading 5 chapters, starting a business, and completely changing their diet all at once. The truth is, big changes don't start with big actions. Big changes start with small steps done consistently. Think about how a river shapes a mountain. It's not because the water is powerful in a single moment. It's because it flows every day, every hour without stopping. Over time, it carves through solid rock. That is the power of small, repeated actions. The problem is, most people underestimate small steps. If they drink 1 glass of water instead of soda, they don't feel different that day, so they think it doesn't matter. If they read 10 pages of a book, they don't feel smarter that night, so they stop. They forget that small actions accumulate like drops filling a bucket. 1 drop is nothing, but 1,000 drops change everything. In your 21 days, the goal is not to do everything perfectly. The goal is to do something meaningful every single day. Even if it's small, it must be deliberate. If your target is to get fit, maybe you start with 10 push-ups a day, then slowly increase to 20, then 30. The first 10 push-ups might feel easy, even pointless, but they are the foundation for the next 20 days. There's a saying, if you can't lift 100 kilos today, start by lifting 1 kilo. People laugh at the small start, but they forget the only way to lift 100 kilos is to first be strong enough to lift 1 kilo without breaking. Small steps prepare you for big victories. Small steps also remove fear. Many people never start because the goal feels too big. They think, how can I write an entire book in 21 days? How can I lose 5 kilos? How can I double my income? When you break the big goal into small, daily tasks, suddenly it feels possible. You no longer focus on the overwhelming mountain. You just take the next step in front of you. Another benefit of small steps is that they create momentum. Think of a train. It's very hard to start moving when it's completely still, but once it starts rolling, even slowly, it becomes easier to speed up. The same happens in your life. The first few days of your 21-day plan might feel slow, but each small action adds energy. By the time you reach day 10, you'll find that the habit is already forming. Consistency beats intensity in the long run. Doing something small every day for 21 days is far more powerful than doing something extreme for 3 days and quitting. Your mind and body respond better to steady, sustainable change than to sudden bursts of effort followed by exhaustion. When I started my first business, we didn't try to conquer the whole market in 1 week. We focused on winning 1 customer, then 2, then 10. Every time we succeeded in 1 small area, we built the confidence and knowledge to tackle bigger challenges. That's how growth works. 1 small victory at a time. Small steps also protect you from burnout. If you try to do everything at maximum speed from day 1, you will run out of energy before the 21 days are over. But if you build slowly, you not only finish strong, you also create habits that can continue beyond the 21 days. The secret is to choose small steps that are easy enough to do daily, but meaningful enough to make a difference. You must know the difference between being busy and being productive. Folding laundry might be busy work. Reading 10 pages of a book that improves your skills is productive work. The small step must be connected to your vision. Once you start seeing small results, even tiny ones, your belief in the process grows. You begin to trust that if a small step works today, another small step will work tomorrow, and another the next day. This belief is what keeps you moving forward without losing motivation. Motivation is a beautiful feeling. It's like a spark. It lights up quickly, burns bright, and makes you feel unstoppable. But here's the problem: a spark fades just as fast as it appears. You wake up one morning feeling inspired, ready to conquer the world. The next morning, you feel tired, distracted, and suddenly all those big promises you made to yourself seem too heavy to carry. That's why you cannot rely on motivation alone. Motivation is emotional, and emotions change like the weather. Some days it's sunny, some days it's raining, and if you only work when the sun is shining, you will never reach your destination. Discipline, on the other hand, is not about feelings. It's about decisions. It's the choice to do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the quiet, steady force that moves you forward when motivation has packed its bags and gone on vacation. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up every morning thinking, I feel so motivated to brush my teeth today. No. You just do it because it's a non-negotiable habit. You don't wait for the perfect mood or the right playlist. You just do it because that's the standard you've set for yourself. The same principle applies to your 21-day success plan. The mistake most people make is treating success like an emotional decision instead of a disciplined one. They wait to feel ready before taking action. But if you wait to feel ready, you might wait for the rest of your life. The truth is, action comes first and feelings follow later. You act disciplined and eventually you feel motivated again. When you rely on discipline, you remove the question, do I feel like doing this today, from your life. There's no debate, no bargaining with yourself. If today's task is to exercise for 20 minutes, you do it. If today's task is to write 500 words, you do it. Whether you are tired, busy, or uninspired, the action happens. That's the power of discipline. It turns your goals into obligations instead of options. In the early days of building my career, I learned this the hard way. There were days I didn't want to show up for meetings. There were days I wanted to sleep in instead of making calls. But I realized if I only worked on the days I felt like it, my results would be inconsistent, my growth unpredictable. So I made a rule: show up every day, no matter what. Rain or shine, excitement or boredom, show up. Discipline also protects you from the trap of perfectionism. Motivation makes you want everything to be perfect before you start the perfect mood, the perfect time, the perfect resources. Discipline ignores perfection. It says, do it anyway, even if conditions aren't perfect. That's how progress is made, through imperfect, consistent action. One of the best ways to build discipline is through routine. When you attach your new habit to a specific time of day, it becomes automatic. For example, if you decide to read for 15 minutes right after breakfast, it stops being a decision and becomes a natural part of your morning. The less you have to think about whether you should do something, the more likely you are to do it. Another key is to lower the resistance. If your goal is to work out in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If your goal is to drink more water, keep a bottle at your desk. The easier you make it to start, the less likely you are to skip. Discipline isn't about making life harder, it's about removing excuses before they appear. The truth is, discipline feels uncomfortable at first. Your mind will fight it, your body will resist it, and you'll hear a voice in your head saying, just skip it today. That's the moment you must be stronger than your feelings. Every time you win that battle, discipline grows stronger, and soon it becomes a habit you can't imagine living without. Every person has habits. Some habits build our future, and some quietly destroy it. The tricky thing is, bad habits don't usually feel bad in the moment. In fact, they often feel comfortable, relaxing, or rewarding. That's why they are so dangerous. They give you pleasure now, but they take away your progress later. In a 21-day transformation plan, it's not just about adding good habits. It's also about removing what holds you back. But here's the truth. If you only try to stop a bad habit without replacing it, you will leave a hole in your routine, and that empty space will pull you right back into the same pattern. The mind doesn't like a vacuum. If you take something away, you must give it something else to hold on to. Let's say your bad habit is scrolling endlessly on your phone before bed. If you simply say, I will stop using my phone at night, your mind will fight it. You'll feel restless, bored, and soon you'll find yourself back on the screen. But if you replace that habit with reading a book for 15 minutes or writing in a journal, You give your mind a new path to follow. The craving for the old habit slowly fades because the new habit gives you something similar: relaxation, distraction, or reward, but in a healthier way. One of the most effective ways to replace a bad habit is to understand its trigger. Every habit has three parts: the trigger, the action, and the reward. For example, stress might be your trigger, eating junk food might be the action, and the feeling of comfort might be the reward. If you try to remove the action without changing the trigger or the reward, you'll keep failing. But if you replace junk food with a quick walk, deep breathing, or a glass of water, you still keep the reward of comfort, just in a better way. The reason replacing is more powerful than removing is because habits are not just about willpower, they are about wiring. Your brain builds pathways from repeated actions. If those pathways stay empty, the brain will naturally return to the old route. Replacing the habit builds a new path, making it easier for your brain to choose it automatically over time. Sometimes people try to change too much at once. They say, "I will stop all my bad habits starting today." This almost always fails because each bad habit is tied to a specific time, place, or emotion. That's why for these 21 days, you choose just one bad habit to replace. Focus on winning that battle first. When you master one, your confidence grows and your brain learns that change is possible. You must also make the replacement habit as easy as possible in the beginning. If your bad habit is buying fast food on the way home, prepare a quick, healthy snack at home so it's ready the moment you walk in. If your bad habit is checking social media first thing in the morning, keep your phone in another room and put a book or notepad next to your bed. The easier it is to start the new habit, the harder it becomes to return to the old one. Remember, a bad habit is not a sign of weakness. It's just a sign that your brain has learned a certain way of doing things. And the same brain that learned the bad habit can learn a good one. Every time you replace the old with the new, you're not just changing your actions, you're reprogramming your mind to work for your success instead of against it. If replacing a bad habit stops you from moving backward, adding a powerful habit pushes you forward. The right habit, even if it seems small, can completely change the way you think, work, and live. In 21 days, you might not see the full result of a powerful habit, but you will feel its presence shaping your future. The mistake many people make is trying to add too many habits at once. They want to wake up early, exercise, meditate, read, write, eat healthy, and learn a new skill, all starting from day one. The problem is, when you overload your schedule with too many changes, your brain feels overwhelmed and eventually shuts down. The secret is to choose one powerful habit that has a ripple effect on other areas of your life. Think of it like planting a tree. You don't plant 10 seeds and expect them all to grow strong if you don't have the resources to water them daily. You plant one seed, give it sunlight, water, and attention, and soon it grows roots deep enough to support more growth later. So, what makes a habit powerful? A powerful habit is one that, when practiced consistently, makes other parts of your life easier or better without extra effort. For example, if you build the habit of waking up 1 hour earlier every day, you suddenly have time for exercise, reading, or planning your day. All because of one change. If you start the habit of writing down your top 3 priorities every morning, you improve your focus, productivity, and decision making throughout the day. When choosing your one powerful habit, you must align it with your 21-day goal. If your vision is about health, maybe your habit is drinking 2 liters of water daily. If your vision is about learning, your habit could be reading 20 pages every night. If your vision is about productivity, it could be reviewing your goals for 5 minutes each morning. The key is that the habit directly supports your main mission. Another thing to remember is that a powerful habit doesn't need to take hours of your time. Many life-changing habits can be done in less than 15 minutes a day. The power is not in the size of the action, but in the consistency of it. The habit becomes powerful because it compounds over time, like putting a small amount of money in the bank every day and watching it grow into something big. To make sure the new habit sticks, you need to attach it to something you already do every day. This is called habit stacking. For example, if you want to start journaling, do it right after brushing your teeth in the morning. If you want to start stretching, do it after you make your bed. By connecting the new habit to an existing one, you make it easier for your brain to remember and repeat. It's also important to make the habit enjoyable, especially in the beginning. If your new habit feels like a chore, you'll resist it. Find a way to make it pleasant. If you're exercising, play music you love. If you're reading, choose books you're genuinely curious about. If you're meditating, start with just 2 minutes so it feels easy to complete. The first week will always be the hardest because your mind and body are adjusting. But once you pass the initial resistance, the habit starts to feel natural, even automatic. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether you should do it. It simply becomes part of your daily rhythm. And once it's a part of your identity, it no longer takes willpower to maintain it, because you see yourself as the kind of person who does it. One of the biggest reasons people quit before 21 days is that they don't see results, and one of the biggest reasons they don't see results is because they don't measure them. If you're only guessing about your progress, your mind will play tricks on you. It will tell you you're not improving, even when you are. That's why measuring is not optional. It's your proof, your scoreboard, and your source of motivation when the excitement fades. Think about it. If you were running a business, would you make decisions without looking at sales numbers? Of course not. You would track daily, weekly, and monthly results so you know what's working and what's not. Your 21-day plan is no different. It's a personal business, and you are the CEO. The first step in measuring progress is defining what success looks like for your specific goal. If your aim is to read 300 pages in 21 days, the measurement is simple: pages read each day. If your goal is to lose weight, you might measure your weight once a week, your waist size, or how your clothes fit. If your goal is to save money, you can track how much you set aside daily or weekly. The point is to make your measurement clear and easy to check. You should also measure the actions, not just the results. Why? Because results often take time to appear. If your goal is fitness, you may not see physical changes in the mirror after 5 days, but you can measure whether you completed your workout each day. Action-based measurement keeps you motivated because you're winning daily, even before the big result arrives. Another important part of measuring is keeping a visible record. Write your daily numbers in a notebook, on a calendar, or in a tracking app. The human brain loves visual progress. When you see a chain of completed days, you'll feel proud, and you won't want to break the chain. This is called the "don't break the chain" method, and it's incredibly powerful for building consistency. Be honest with your measurements. Don't adjust the numbers to make yourself feel better, and don't skip tracking on bad days. In fact, the bad days are the most important to record because they tell you where the real challenges are. If you see a pattern, maybe you always skip your habit on Fridays or after long work days. You can make adjustments to handle those situations better. You can also use measuring as a form of self-competition. If you read 10 pages yesterday, try to read 11 today. If you saved 5 yesterday, try saving 6 today. Small, measurable improvements not only push you forward, but also make the process more engaging. It becomes a game you want to win. Some people avoid measuring because they're afraid of seeing slow progress. But slow progress is still progress. In fact, slow and steady growth is usually more sustainable than quick, dramatic changes that don't last. Measurement teaches you patience because it shows you how small actions add up over time. Review your progress regularly, not just at the end of the 21 days. Set checkpoints at the end of each week. Ask yourself, what worked well? What needs improvement? What will I do differently next week? This reflection keeps you in control instead of letting the days pass without direction. Finally, remember that measurement is not about judging yourself. It's about guiding yourself. It's not a punishment for being imperfect. It's a tool to keep you aligned with your vision. Without measurement, you're walking in the dark. With it, you have a flashlight that shows you exactly how far you've come and how far you still need to go. If you want to transform your life in 21 days, you can't just keep repeating the same actions with the same knowledge you already have. Every day must be a step forward, not just in what you do, but in what you know. Learning something new daily is not about adding pressure, it's about adding power. Knowledge is the raw material of growth. And the more you have, the more options you can create for yourself. Think about this: most people spend more time scrolling through social media than they do feeding their minds. They wake up, check their phone, and let other people's thoughts dictate their mood for the day. But those who commit to learning something new every single day have a different energy. They approach the world like students of life, always searching for lessons, ideas, and inspiration. Learning daily doesn't mean you need to read a 500-page book before breakfast. It means you consciously take time to feed your brain with something useful, even if it's just one idea that shifts your thinking. It could be reading 10 pages of a book, listening to a podcast, watching a TED Talk, or having a conversation with someone whose experiences are different from yours. The secret is to learn with intention. If your 21-day goal is about improving your fitness, you might learn about nutrition, recovery techniques, or mental strategies for staying consistent. If your goal is financial growth, you could study budgeting methods, investment basics, or stories of people who achieve financial freedom. When you learn something that's directly connected to your goal, the application becomes immediate, and the impact becomes visible. There's also a hidden benefit to learning daily. It keeps your mind open. When you expose yourself to new ideas, you become less rigid in your thinking. Problems that seemed unsolvable yesterday might suddenly have a clear solution today because you encountered a new perspective. This flexibility is one of the most valuable skills you can develop in life. Consistency in learning also compounds over time. One new insight a day may not feel like much, but over 21 days, that's 21 insights. Over a year, that's 365. Imagine how differently you'll think, decide, and act when you've filled your mind with hundreds of powerful ideas. People will wonder how you make such smart choices, but the truth will be simple. You fed your brain daily, and it rewarded you. To make this work, schedule your learning time like an appointment you can't miss. It could be the first 20 minutes after you wake up, during your lunch break, or before bed. Protect this time the way you would protect a meeting with your most important client, because you are the most important client of your own life. Don't just absorb knowledge passively. Write down key points, highlight the sentences that speak to you, and reflect on how you can apply them immediately. Passive learning fills your mind with facts. Active learning transforms those facts into tools you can actually use. And don't underestimate the power of small learning moments. A 5-minute summary of a book can spark an idea that changes your career path. A single question you ask an experienced person can save you years of mistakes. A short video on a skill can unlock a new opportunity you didn't even know existed. Your mind is like a bank account. Whatever you deposit into it grows over time with interest. If you deposit negative thoughts, gossip, and useless distractions, that's what multiplies. But if you deposit ideas, skills, and wisdom, you're building mental wealth that will pay you for the rest of your life. If you want to create a real transformation in just 21 days, you must understand that fear is often the invisible wall standing between you and your goals. It's not the lack of opportunity, the lack of talent, or the lack of resources. It's the fear that stops you from even trying. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of rejection. These fears lie quietly in the background, controlling your decisions without you even realizing it. The truth is, fear doesn't disappear when you ignore it, it grows. The more you avoid it, the stronger it becomes. But when you confront it, Even in small doses, you weaken its grip on you. That's why in your 21-day plan, you must commit to facing at least one fear every single week. Facing fear doesn't mean you have to jump out of an airplane or give a speech in front of thousands of people tomorrow. It means identifying something that makes you uncomfortable, something you've been avoiding, and deliberately stepping toward it. For some, that could be speaking up in a meeting. For others, it might be making that phone call you've been postponing or applying for an opportunity you feel unqualified for. The beauty of this practice is that fear loses its power the moment you act. Before you do it, fear is loud, convincing, and filled with worst-case scenarios. But the moment you take that step, the story changes. You realize that most of the danger existed only in your mind. And with each fear you face, you not only gain courage, but also unlock opportunities that were previously hidden. Here's the key: don't wait until you feel ready. Fear's trick is to convince you that you must feel confident before acting. But confidence doesn't come first, action does. You act, you survive, and your brain learns, I can handle this. That's how confidence is built. In practical terms, start by making a list of the things you've been avoiding. Write them down honestly, without judgment. Then choose one each week to tackle. If it feels overwhelming, break it down into smaller steps. For example, if public speaking scares you, maybe your first step is to speak up during a small group discussion. The next step could be presenting to a slightly larger group. Over time, what once felt impossible will become natural. Facing fear also rewires the way you see yourself. Every time you take on a fear, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. This builds a powerful inner identity, one where you see yourself as someone who acts despite discomfort, someone who doesn't let fear dictate their life. It's important to remember that fear is often a sign you're moving in the right direction. Comfort zones are where dreams go to sleep, but fear zones are where growth happens. If something scares you but also excites you, that's usually a sign that it's worth pursuing. And the benefits go beyond just courage. By facing fear, you expand your skills, your network, and your perspective. You meet people you never would have met, learn things you never would have learned, and experience moments that would have been impossible if you stayed comfortable. Fear becomes less of an enemy and more of a guide, pointing you toward the areas of life that hold the most potential for growth. Your environment is a silent architect of your destiny. The people you talk to, the conversations you have, the information you consume, all of these things shape your mindset, your decisions, and ultimately your results. Whether you realize it or not, you are constantly absorbing energy from your surroundings. And in your 21-day success plan, it is vital to make sure that energy is lifting you higher, not pulling you down. Think of your mind as a garden. If you plant flowers but allow weeds to grow unchecked, eventually the weeds will take over. Positivity works the same way. If you feed your mind with optimism, inspiration, and encouragement, your mental garden will flourish. But if you let negativity creep in, constant complaining, toxic conversations, discouraging news, it will choke your motivation and drain your energy before you even start your day. Surrounding yourself with positivity doesn't mean avoiding reality or ignoring problems. It means choosing an environment that supports your growth instead of stifling it. This starts with people. Look around you. Who do you spend the most time with? Are they encouraging you to go further or convincing you to settle for less? Do they celebrate your wins or secretly resent them? The truth is, your circle should challenge you, inspire you, and remind you of your potential when you forget it yourself. Sometimes, positivity is not about adding new people, but about creating healthy distance from those who drain you. It doesn't mean you cut everyone off, but you can limit the time and energy you give to relationships that constantly bring you down. Protecting your mental space is not selfish. It's necessary if you want to create lasting change. Beyond people, think about the content you consume. Every day, you are feeding your brain through books, videos, podcasts, and social media. What you consume will eventually shape how you think and act. If you scroll through endless negativity, arguments, and fear-driven headlines, your mind will adopt that energy. But if you choose to listen to success stories, read about personal growth, and follow people who inspire you, your brain will align with that vision of possibility. Creating a positive environment also means shaping your physical space. A cluttered, messy room can weigh on your mind, while a clean and organized space can boost your focus and energy. Even small changes, like adding motivational quotes to your wall or playing uplifting music in the morning, can shift your mindset and set the tone for your day. And positivity is contagious. When you surround yourself with it, you don't just benefit. You start radiating it to others. You become the person who lifts the room, who encourages others to believe in themselves, who chooses solutions instead of dwelling on problems. This creates a cycle where the positivity you give comes back to you, often multiplied. Another powerful way to reinforce positivity is through daily gratitude. When you actively notice and appreciate the good in your life, you train your mind to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. This shift in perspective changes how you approach challenges and keeps you grounded in the middle of setbacks. Ultimately, the company you keep, the content you consume, and the atmosphere you create all play a direct role in shaping your future. Every choice you make in these areas is either building the life you want or reinforcing the life you're trying to leave behind. In the pursuit of success, it's easy to keep your eyes locked on the big goal and forget the small victories along the way. But those small victories are not just checkpoints. They are fuel. Every milestone you achieve, no matter how small, is proof that you're moving forward. It's the evidence that your effort is paying off, that your discipline is working, and that you are no longer where you started. Think about it. No one climbs a mountain in a single leap. They do it step by step, pausing along the way to catch their breath. Look at how far they've come and gather strength for the next climb. The same principle applies to your 21-day success plan. If you only focus on what you haven't achieved yet, you'll burn out quickly. But if you take a moment to acknowledge progress, you'll build momentum that keeps you going. Celebrating milestones doesn't mean you have to throw a huge party or spend extravagantly. It can be something simple. A quiet moment of gratitude, treating yourself to a nice meal, or even just telling yourself, "I'm proud of what I did today." The act of acknowledging progress creates a sense of accomplishment that energizes you to take the next step. There's also a psychological benefit. Your brain responds to rewards by releasing dopamine, a chemical that boosts your motivation and focus. Every time you celebrate a small win, you're training your brain to associate progress with positive emotions. Over time, this turns the pursuit of success into a habit you actually enjoy, not a burden you're trying to escape. Milestones also give you a chance to measure and adjust. When you pause to celebrate, you naturally reflect on how you got there. You can identify what's working well, what habits are helping you, and what strategies need improvement. This reflection makes your journey smarter, not just faster. And milestones aren't just for the big achievements. In fact, the more you recognize small steps, the more motivated you'll be. Finishing a difficult task, resisting an old bad habit, waking up earlier than usual, sticking to your plan for a week. These are all milestones worth noting. They are signs that you're building consistency, which is the foundation of long-term success. Sharing your milestones can amplify the effect. When you tell a friend, mentor, or accountability partner about your progress, you reinforce the achievement in your own mind. You might even inspire them to keep going on their own journey. Positivity spreads, and your small win could be the spark that reignites someone else's motivation. On the flip side, ignoring your milestones can make your journey feel like an endless grind. You might find yourself working hard but feeling like you're not getting anywhere, even when you are. This is why so many people quit before they reach their big goal. They don't realize how much progress they've already made because they never pause to appreciate it. Your milestones are also a reminder that success is a journey, not a single destination. Each one marks a chapter in your growth story. When you look back later, you'll see that the moments you celebrated along the way are what made the journey meaningful, not just the final achievement. By building the habit of celebrating, you create a rhythm of effort and reward that sustains you through challenges. You're no longer chasing success with exhaustion. You're walking toward it with energy, clarity, and a sense of fulfillment at every stage. In conclusion, the journey to transform your life doesn't begin with giant leaps. It starts with small, intentional steps taken every single day. A 21-day success plan is not magic, but it is a powerful framework to rewire your habits, sharpen your mindset, and set you on a path of consistent growth. In just 3 weeks, you can replace one bad habit, add one powerful habit, face your fears, and build the discipline that will outlast any burst of motivation. The key is to stay consistent, measure your progress, and celebrate milestones along the way. You will face moments of doubt, distractions, and discomfort, but these are signs that you are growing beyond your comfort zone. Surround yourself with positivity, keep learning daily, and remember that the person you become in the process is far more important than the goal itself. Success is not about speed, it's about direction. If you take one step forward every day for 21 days, you will already be ahead of most people who are still waiting for the right time to start. Begin today, stay committed, and let each day bring you closer to the life you've always envisioned.